My next guest says for real sustained jobs growth, more states should be following the Texas model. He is Jim McAlister, the president and CEO of Rockspring Capital, and he is with us once again this morning. Jim, good to see you.
Good morning.
All right, so explain the Texas model to us.
Well, the Texas model, and it's a model that I believe that the whole country should wake up to. And the Texas model, it works, and literally and figuratively. Texas model is basically 4 different things. Number one is it's low taxes, and the fact that Texas is only one of a handful of states that has no state income tax. It also doesn't have all these frivolous taxes with everything you try to do in business, and so taxes are very low. Secondly, regulations are very low, and so you have low regulations both in running a business, but also low regulations in real estate. And so your home prices are lower. The cost of doing business is lower. And thirdly, Texas is very self-reliant. A stat that very few people know is the fact that if you live in California, a person in California is 17 times more likely to be on welfare than someone in Texas. And so we are a very self-reliant group of people, and we don't just give welfare to whoever wants it. Some
might say it's also very reliant on energy, the energy business.
Well, it is reliant.
And that brings me to the question of, if oil prices continue going down, does that sort of,
well, to everybody's surprise, in the year that oil's gone from 110 to 45, a barrel, we've seen, we're expected to have 250,000 new jobs in Texas, which is more than we've averaged the past 10 years. 9 of the top fastest growing cities in the United States are in Texas. And so Texas is doing things. The oil's great, but we're doing things other than that to create jobs. And the last thing that I wanted, the point of the Texas model is don't spend all the money. We are very good about not spending more than we bring in, which is a novel idea.
By the way, I like this model, Dagen. This is a good model for the country. I've got to agree.
Sounds great. Who doesn't like taxes? No state taxes sounds great. Then why didn't Rick Perry resonate? Because that was what he was running on.
Yeah.
Well,
the Texas model.
I have 3 answers to that, but I can only remember 2.
It's more than that. By the way, that
was my debate.
That happened during your debate.
That was my debate, yeah. When we were in the debate, sitting there, and he forgot his 3rd thing. John Howard and I looked at each other, and, John said, well, do you remember? It was really a moment. It was, but it stuck.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him because everyone has that moment.
No, that's right. That's right. But the Texas is in great shape, and so it's a great place. And besides all those reasons, it's a beautiful place to live. And so we're seeing a lot of in-migration, and also it's a really good investment opportunity for groups like myself.
Yeah. Phil Orlando, how do you see it?
So the low taxes and the low regs idea really resonate with me. You look at the United States, since the Great Recession ended, we've got a GDP run rate of about 2.2%. The National Bureau of Economic Research thinks we ought to be somewhere between 4 and 5%. And some of the reasons that the Federal Reserve has talked about, taxes are too high, regs are too high, and that's why we're sort of artificially restraining our ability to grow. So maybe the Texas model is something we ought to be looking at nationally.
Right.
I think so.
A lot of the candidates right now, certainly on the GOP side, are talking about regulations needing to come in. Who's talking about Dodd-Frank? They're all talking about Obamacare, but you also need an alternative. So we haven't heard enough specifics in terms of, okay, so we change regulation. What's the alternative?
Right.
So that's something to think about as well for these candidates. But I agree. This is a model that people are trying to. Do you see tax plans on the campaign trail today that perhaps look like what you're talking about?
Well, I think that most people on the Republican side of the thing, most of them are for moving towards the Texas model, the lower taxes and less regulations. And so I think that's what we're hearing from the Republican side. And who knows who's going to actually do something versus just talk.
Real quick on real estate, because that's really your bailiwick. Are prices getting away from you at this point?
No, it's Texas is still very affordable compared to
rest of the country.
The rest of the country. You take Houston, which has really now become a global city, and you compare the pricing in Houston versus any other global city, and it's a fraction.
Jim, it's great to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Maria. Great to be back.
Good to see you. Please come back soon.
I will.
Jim McAlister, Rockspring Capital.